Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toys Base channel Malaysia. Now today on the channel, I've got some pretty incredible news to share here for fans and pop culture collectors of the original 1987 Robocop movie. Now we have a new and emerging toy company called JFS Toys who have secured the rights to make officially licensed 7-inch scale action figure renditions of some of the baddest villains to ever appear on screen over the last 4 decades or so. And I'm talking about the villains of old Detroit. Yeah. Now, Robocop is without a doubt one of the greatest science fiction action thrillers of all time. The story of a cybernetic cop policing the ultra-violent, crime-ridden streets of Detroit has captivated us for ages. And at one point in 1988, even featured an animated series and a toy line that was aimed at kids. Now, the cartoon, which was titled Robocop and the Ultra Police, gave fans the very first ever line of Robocop figures to ever hit toy shelves, including our very first ever action figure of Robocop himself. And while there were human villains both in the show and in the toys, these guys like Headhunter and his crew were not the bad guys that we wanted. Now later on, McFarlane Toys and NECA would give us the very first modern day versions of a movie-accurate Robocop figure, and the highly detailed work on these figures proved to be absolute fan favorites. And over the years, we would get different variations of the central Robocop figure from across the 3 movies. We even got a super deluxe ED-209 enforcement droid, but we never got any of the human bad guys until now. So JFS Toys have posted prototype images of all 5 of the movie's main bad guys on both their Facebook and Instagram pages. And let me tell you guys, you probably might not realize just how much you needed these figures in your collections until you see the incredible work that's being done here. The first of the prototypes seen here is that of the baddest crime boss of old Detroit, Clarence Boddicker, as played by Kurtwood Smith in the movie. And you know what, guys? To me personally, his performance in the movie made Clarence Boddicker one of the best screen villains of the 1980s by far. In fact, one of the best screen villains of all time. All right, that's why people are still talking about the character until today and why he's getting an action figure almost 40 years later. He seems like a pretty normal guy from a distance, all right, just an average Joe with glasses on. Okay, you have no idea of the brutality and just ultra sadism that he's capable of. Now, all of the promotional shots of the prototypes only show the figures from roughly the waist up and holding on to one specific weapon. I'm sure, however, that the final finished product will have these figures with multiple weapon accessories, perhaps even alternate head sculpts. We'll just have to wait and see. Next up, we have Clarence's second in command, Leon Nash. Right? Now, this is another great performance in the movie by Ray Wise. Out of the rest of the bad guys, he probably seemed like the one who had things under control the best, although he sure wasn't in control of anything, okay, at the point that Robocop found him in the club and just yanked him by the head, kicking and screaming, and just dragged him all across the floor, right? You guys remember that, right? Okay, and then we've got Joe Cox. Now, he was the guy in the movie who was always laughing and smiling, making jokes, being real playful, but make no mistake, he was as brutal as any of the rest of them, and he was fully involved in the ultra sadistic murder of Alex Murphy. So whatever the case was, he was as bad as the rest of them. He was ultimately responsible for the creation of Robocop, and he got his just desserts for it. Yeah. But now, he's being immortalized as an action figure. Okay, and then we've got Steve Min, who's like probably the only Asian that I think is in the whole movie. If I think about it, was there any other Asians in there? Not really sure, okay? But he was an Asian bad guy. But when you think about it, Clarence's crew was pretty much big on diversity, okay? There was a black guy, there are a bunch of whites there, and you got an Asian guy. So, this was way before this whole woke diversity agenda that's in pop culture today. They already had this stuff covered. Anyway, when it comes to Steve here, the weird thing is just that, okay, he had a pretty memorable role, but, I would say that all of the bad guys in the movie had really terrible endings, okay? Like they died in really bad ways, okay? But when it came to Steve here, I was actually wondering, okay, like where was the part that he actually got terminated, right? Where was the part that he got killed by Robocop? And I remember that it was like something that happened so fast, it was almost off screen. It's like in the scene, the drug factory, when Robocop barges in and he just starts shooting up the whole place and he kills like 100 bad guys. And Steve is just one of those guys that just gets shot in the whole frenzy. He just goes, ugh, like that, and he just falls to his death. And it just seems like, it was somewhat unceremonious, compared to how the rest of the bad guys met their end. And then we get down to the final villain in the series, and it's Emil Antonowski. Now, he's played by Paul McCrane in the movie. He's been in a number of notable bit character roles in movies over the years. But probably the most unbelievable role of his for me was the time that he played Jack Bauer's half brother in 24 season 6. Now, that just seemed like a role that was just forced into that whole season. All right. He had no business being in that part. But as far as Robocop was concerned, he played a great bad guy in that one. He had a lot of standout lines, a lot of utterly unforgettable sequences, especially the part where, he gets doused with toxic corrosive waste, right? And then just becomes this misshapen, melting monstrosity. This was the part in the movie where it just went into full horror movie territory, okay? Because there's no way that you'd expect the film to take this direction, right? Not when you're watching it. So this is without a doubt one of the standout, most traumatizing sequences in the whole film. Robocop is just filled with traumatizing moments. This one is right up there, okay, with the worst of them. And there's only one toy company that I believe has attempted to depict Emil in this horrific mode before this, and that was the Reaction action figure version that came out a couple of years ago. Now, that one was pretty unbelievable as well to see in action figure form. However, the depiction of that was somewhat more caricaturish. The version that JFS Toys is delivering here is fully detailed. If you ever wanted the ultimate version of this character in this particular form to be in your display collection, then JFS Toys is delivering it to you. All right. The only twist is that they're doing it in a 1/4 scale polyresin statue form. All right, not as an action figure, but as a statue. One that comes with an intricately designed base as well, as you can see from these images here. So they seem to be going all out, all right, on this. Again, somehow from the promotional images, this is the only character that seems to be getting like the full reveal treatment. We only seem to be getting a teaser look at the rest of the guys for now. But look, judging from the quality of what we're seeing here, the final finished products are guaranteed to be absolutely astounding. And to push the retro theme even further, JFS is getting all of this stuff packaged in retro videotape style boxes. All right, the figures will come in these boxes that look like video cassettes from the 1980s. Okay, definitely a very awesome showcase. And you know what? If you know what a video cassette is, then you're probably old enough to have seen Robocop when it first came out in theaters. So look, guys, I want to know your thoughts in the comment section about what you think of these new villains of old Detroit action figure series that's being put together by JFS Toys. What do you think of these reveals? I think that if you're a Robocop action figure collector, then this is something that's very much needed in your collection. I just think that the authenticity that they're bringing to this set looks utterly breathtaking. And it's always great to see a new company do a take on a classic film property, and especially from such a niche angle. It's like, NECA could have easily done the human figures at some point. They've done dozens of Robocop figures over the last 10 years or so. And the fact that they've never done at least a Clarence Bodyker action figure has always been something that boggles my mind, right? But now it's finally happening. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll talk to all of you again real soon. Take care out there.